Washington, D.C., the U.S. Department of Defense is reportedly intensifying contingency planning for the possibility of a nuclear confrontation with Iran. According to senior defense officials familiar with the matter, the move comes amidst growing concern over Tehran's accelerated nuclear program and escalating tension in the Middle East. While no immediate military action is planned, the Pentagon is set to be reassessing various strategic scenarios, including potential nuclear engagement as part of routine defense preparedness. Officials emphasize that there are precautionary measures intended to deter aggression and ensure national security in the event of worst-case development. Pentagon spokesperson Lieutenant Colonel Thomas Kendrick declined to comment on the specifics of operational planning, but stated the Department of Defense continually review and update plans to address a wide range of potential threats to the United States and its allies. Our posture is defensive, and our objective remains the prevention of conflict through deterrence and diplomacy. The increased focus allows recent intelligence assessments indicating that Iran has enriched uranium to near weapons-grade levels and it's advancing its missile delivery systems. Despite ongoing diplomatic efforts, including recent European brokered talk in Vienna, negotiations to revive the 2015 Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action JCPOA have stalled. Iranian officials have dismissed concerns, asserting that their nuclear program is strictly for peaceful civilian purposes. However, Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei has warned of unpredictable consequences if Iran's sovereignty is threatened. Regional analysts warn that any miscalculation could have catastrophic precautions. In parallel, U.S. allies in the Gulf have reportedly increased defense coordination and readiness measures. Israel, which has long viewed Iran's nuclear ambition as an existential threat, has publicly expressed support for a tougher U.S. stance while preparing its own military options. The White House, meanwhile, reiterated its commitment to diplomacy, but maintained that all options remain on the table to prevent Iran from acquiring nuclear weapons capabilities. The Pentagon preparations, though precautionary, highlight the gravity of the current geopolitical climate and the increasing difficulty of containing the Iranian nuclear issue to diplomacy alone. While in the Middle East, the Israeli Defense Forces, IDF, have resumed intensive ground operation in Gaza Strip, making a new escalation in the ongoing conflict after a brief pause in fighting.
This is not a life. We urge the mediators. We are the ones paying the price with our children and women. What is this? We can't find the time to get displaced. We get displaced every day.
This development comes as ceasefire negotiations mediated by Egypt and Qatar have stalled, and as domestic tensions within Israel reach new heights. With the second round of airstrike on Thursday that killed more than 90 people, most of whom were sleeping in their homes, it is now no longer a violation, but the end of the ceasefire. In a statement released on Thursday, the IDF confirmed that its forces had launched coordinated assaults targeting Hamas infrastructure, tunnel networks, and weapon caches, particularly in central and southern Gaza.
The evacuation of civilians from combat zones will start soon. If all Israeli hostages are not released and Hamas is not removed from Gaza, Israel will act with forces you have never known before.
Israeli officials justified the renewed offensive by citing continual rocket fire into Israeli territory and intelligence reports suggesting Hamas is regrouping and rearming. However, the government's decision to press ahead with the offensive has sparked widespread protests across Israel. In Tel Aviv and Jerusalem, thousands of demonstrators gathered overnight, demanding an immediate ceasefire and prioritization of the release of Israeli hostages by Hamas since the October 2024 attack. Families of the hostages have emerged as a particularly vocal group, accusing Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's government of neglecting their loved ones in favor of continuing military action.
When IDF started the war, again, as if we say something, it's against them. It's against the soldiers, but it's not against the soldiers. It's against our government that betrayed our people and the civilians of Israel and the soldiers.
Protesters also expressed broader disillusionment with the government's handling of the conflict, accusing leaders of using the war to deflect from domestic crises, including ongoing corruption trials and economic stagnation. On the other hand, analysts suggest that the continuation of the war may serve key political objective for Netanyahu's coalition government. By maintaining a hardline stance against Hamas, the Prime Minister consolidates support from right-wing constituents and sidestep mounting political pressures at home, particularly amid call for early elections. Let's get back to Africa. In the eastern part of the continent, the M23 rebel group, reportedly supported by Rwanda, has seized control of the key town of Kanyabayonga in North Kivu province, defying renewed international calls for a ceasefire. The town's capture comes just days after Qatar, which has been mediating regional peace efforts, urged all parties to halt military operations and commit to dialogue. Despite these appeals, intense clashes between Congolese government forces and the M23 rebels continue throughout the week, displacing thousands of civilians. Local sources confirmed that Congolese forces withdrew from Kanyabayonga late Wednesday after sustained rebel advances. The town, strategically located on the main supply route between Goma and Northern Territories, is considered vital for controlling trade and military logistics in the region. The Congolese government has repeatedly accused neighboring Rwanda of backing the M23, supplying arms, intelligence, and even direct military support, allegations Kigali continue to deny. Rwanda maintains that it has no involvement and instead accused Kinshasa of harboring anti-Rwanda militias, further straining bilateral relations. Qatar Foreign Minister issued a statement on Thursday expressing deep concern over the deteriorating situation and reaffirmed its commitment to facilitate dialogue under the Luanda and Nairobi peace processes. However, analysts suggest that mediation efforts face significant obstacles as the conflict intensified. The fall of Kanyabayonga marks serious blow to the Congolese military and underscore the limited effectiveness of ceasefire agreement without enforcement mechanisms. The humanitarian toll continues to mount. The UN report over 150,000 people have been displaced since the beginning of March, adding to an already critical crisis in eastern Congo, where millions are relied on aid. With tension at the breaking point, regional bodies, including the African Union and the Eastern African Community, are expected to hold emergency consultation in the coming days. From Washington to Gaza and the Democratic Republic of the Congo, the past week has underscored a concerning pattern of escalating conflicts, fragile diplomacy, and deepening humanitarian crisis. Taken together, these crises highlight the fragility of global peace and the challenges of facing diplomatic interventions in an increasingly polarized geopolitical landscape. As world powers and regional bodies scramble to de-escalate tensions, the urgency of renewed dialogue, responsible leadership, and humanitarian prioritization has never been more apparent. Without concerted efforts to break the cycle of violence, the risks of broader regional and potential global destabilization looms larger. Stay with us for more updates on Diaspora Digital Media. I remain Ibrahim Muarwasi. Bye for now.